I listen up, man, because I'm about to keep it a buck with y'all like a goddamn dollar store. Contrary to popular belief, the spiritual path is not all about sunshines and motherfucking rainbows. Yes, sir, let me say that again for the people in the back. Listen up. Contrary to popular belief, contrary to the New Age spiritual movement, the real, the true spiritual path towards self-realization is not all about just sunshines and motherfucking rainbows. You might be wondering, okay, man, I hear all these people talking about spirituality, manifest your dream life, the law of attraction, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And now you're telling me it's not about sunshines and rainbows? Well, relax. Relax. Relax, my guy. Because it's time for your boy to break this bitch down real quick like a brick for y'all. Now, the first thing you got to realize that the spiritual path towards self-realization requires what we call self-mastery. Self-mastery isn't all sunshines and rainbows. Self-mastery isn't all about just succumbing to what makes you feel good. You see, New Age spirituality, like we talked about before on a previous video on this channel, is going to feed you what feels good. It's not going to feed you what actually nourishes your soul's development. It'll feed you what will make the ego feel like it's spiritual. Because the ego will survive in any way, shape, and form. It will use even spirituality to stay alive. But the true spiritual path, what that is about, self-mastery, which leads to self-realization, requires you to actually tame the ego, to actually overcome the ego, to actually dictate your decisions rather than letting your senses, your ego, the conditioning, and the programming take over control. Because all the programming, all the conditioning that you've got since your upbringing are all a bunch of facades. They are false. They are fake. And you might not realize that right now. But as you go through the spiritual path, what that is going to require you to do is face those false identities head on for yourself. And this is why, again, it's not all about sunshines and rainbows. It is realizing that you've been living a lie this entire motherfucking time. And some people can handle it, while the majority, the masses, the part of the matrix, the illusion, the Maya, the people that are stuck up in that cannot handle the truth. Yes, so let me say that again. They cannot handle the truth. So what do? They want to be spiritual. They want to still feel like they're part of this community of spiritual seekers. So they go to the New Age route. That's going to feed them the bullshit, feed them more shit that's going to make their ego even bigger, because now they think that they don't have an ego anymore. See, this is why New Age spirituality is a psyop. It's a trap for your actual spiritual development. And the true spiritual path that these ancient wisdom, pieces of wisdom, these ancient texts guide us towards. This is a true path that requires renunciation. And what do I mean by renunciation? You might be thinking, okay, you have to go give up your life, give up your house, give up your clothes. You have to be celibate for life. No, renunciation means that you're giving up the bullshit, the baggage that you're carrying up this mountain that leads to self-realization. You have to take off the weight vest. You have to take off the ankle weights. You have to take off the nonsense that you're carrying if you actually want to ascend to that peak pinnacle point of realizing who and what you truly are beyond just the brain and body, beyond just surviving for the senses, beyond just satisfying your lower level pleasures, your lower level desires, your animalistic instincts. How do you know what you truly are if all you do is indulge in that? The fake spiritual path will make you seem like, oh man, you have to renounce this. Oh, you can do all this bullshit. You can be addicted to this. You can be addicted to that. But the true spiritual path is telling you all these are chains that is making you a prisoner to your body. This is why it's not all sunshines and rainbows. And when I'm talking about the spiritual path, I don't even like calling it spiritual, this and that, because all of us are spiritual beings, whether we know it or not. We are inhabiting this physical vessel for the time being, this specific psyche for the time being. But for what reason? That's what you really need to ask. When you guys go study a certain type of philosophy, or you're like, oh man, I'm spiritual now. What is this physical body and this brain for? Most people can't answer that. But the true spiritual path, that's what it leads you to. That's the answer that is being unfolded throughout this entire process of self-mastery, which of course leads to what? Let's say it together, self-realization. It's not all sunshines and rainbows. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that should be so glamorized. I don't believe that this occult, esoteric path towards self-mastery is for every man. It is not. Some people are okay with submitting to their senses and just being a slave like that, living their life with a little bit of pleasure, and that's good enough. But for you guys, especially, I always say this, the people that are watching this channel in specific, the second channel, What the Fulati, where we're out here in the field, in the flesh, dropping y'all that games. You guys can make these games, no cuts, no edits. It's just, again, straight game for your motherfucking brain. You dig what I'm saying? You guys are more psychologically and spiritually advanced than the regular masses of society. Am I saying that you're better than anyone? Absolutely not. Like we just said, we are not on that new age spirituality bullshit saying that you're a chosen one, that that because of this and that you are spiritual and these people are not. Everybody is. You've just been given some type of gift by God. Maybe it was through karmic ties from the past. Maybe it was through past lives. Whatever it is, to be able to grasp this type of concepts and grasp this message that most people cannot even sit through a video this long about these types of topics. It just floats right over the head. So again, for you guys, for you, I'm talking to you especially right now, the person in the mirror, go look at him, I'm talking to him. You need to realize that this path requires you to go into the depths of darkness and sublimate it back into light. Am I saying you got to be an evil person? That's not what this whole shit is about. That's not what things like shadow work is all about. What that requires you is to go into the neglected parts of yourself. See, within the spiritual path, especially within the Vedic tradition of Tantra, which is a literal science towards self-mastery, a literal science to yoga, aka union, where your consciousness merges back with the divine consciousness, aka samadhi. Tantra realizes that all is God in different levels of consciousness, in different degrees of consciousness. There is no good nor bad. There is no duality. But the New Age spiritual movement, the fake pseudo-spirituality, only focuses on the light and forgets about integrating all aspects of yourself, all aspects of your being. Because now the ego wants to be a light worker. The ego wants that to be fed to them. But in order for you to become the holistic version of the self, actually get the full spectrum, the full shebang, the full entree, the 5-star course, you got to be able to go into the depths of quote unquote your darkness and actually bring it back into light. Because if you do not, your darkness is always going to still be calling the shots. Great quote from Carl Jung. If you do not make the unconscious conscious, then the unconscious will always rule your life and you will call it fate. If you do not make those lower level states of consciousness conscious, instead of you just acting off compulsion, instead of acting off of instinct, that's gonna rule your life, and you're never gonna know why you're in this position, why you're in that position. You're gonna be a slave to the system. You're gonna be a slave to yourself. You're gonna be a slave to your senses, motherfucker. And the matrix, the Maya, the illusion, the material world runs off of that. It preys off of that. It loves it. Can't get enough of it. And it uses it against you. So you never realize who you are. Beyond, again, the brain and body. Beyond, again, the flesh and bones. You never realize that, and you never realize what you were actually brought here to do. Because I'm telling you right now, out of the fucking 4 billion sperm cells in your dad's motherfucking nutsack, you made it through. You were the one that made it through. You're the one that's alive. That's not by accident. The universe don't make mistakes. God doesn't make mistakes. You were brought here for a reason. And what they call it on the Vedic tradition is your dharma, your spiritual duty. What is your natural state of being? What you were actually brought here to actually bring into the world is a better way of putting it. What were you actually brought here to bring into the world? This is your natural state. This is your righteous path. That's what the true spiritual path towards self-realization will unlock for you. Yet you can't just sit on the sidelines with the sunshines and rainbows and just think that that's going to happen. You're not going to just be able to live that same NPC type of lifestyle on autopilot mode and think that, boom, you're going to find your dharma. You're going to find your duty. You're going to find your destiny. No, this requires you to give up that baggage that we talked about before, to snip off the weight vest, to snip off the ankle weights, to snip off that backpack that's carrying all this baggage, all this karmic debt, all this nonsense. You must burn it away, dissolve your karmas in order to discover your dharma. This is why it's not an easy path. This is why it's not for everybody. A lot of people would rather just watch Netflix, binge watch porn, eat junk food, and they're okay with life. They get a little bit of pleasure. Actually, they get poison disguised as pleasure, and that shuts them up. That shuts off their mind. But as you notice, these types of people constantly need to escape from reality. Escape. Why? Because they're not living in alignment with their dharma. They don't feel good from within. Their soul knows this is some bullshit you're doing, man. So this is why they give them depression. This is why they get anxiety. Because like I've said before in another video on this channel, anxiety and depression are merely just signs and signals from your higher self telling you you need to get back on the right track. A lot of people, even on the spiritual path, who say they claim that they're spiritual, this and that. Matter of fact, little pause right there. If anyone says they're spiritual, this and that, you already know that's a red flag. They just want attention. If you're a true spiritual seeker, you're just on this path of life, uncovering your divine purpose, trekking up the mountain to divine nectar. That's what someone spiritual is. All of us are, but 99% of us don't realize that this is just temporary, that this is just impermanent. What lies beyond that? Once you feel it, once you taste it once, maybe it's through psychedelics, maybe it's through meditation, maybe it's through a traumatic experience, a near-death experience, who knows? Once you taste the layers beyond just the material, you cannot go back. Like I've said before in another video on this channel, man. Once you have a spiritual awakening, once you realize that you are a spirit inhabiting this body, inhabiting this brain for the time being, there's no going back. That's a real motherfucking red pill. Welcome to the game, Neo. Welcome to the game. But when you take that red pill, in the movie The Matrix, it's all sunshines and rainbows. Oh man, he took the red pill, it's great. No, he went deeper and deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole of life and the rabbit hole of himself. That's what is required. He had to give up this general day-to-day life, the easy life, if you actually want to uncover and realize the truths of reality. He had to give that up. That was a blue pill. He decided not to take the blue pill. This new age spiritual bullshit, that's another blue pill, but just spray painted with some red paint. You wipe it off, you realize, oh man, that's another blue pill. It's another piece of bullshit. I don't want none of that. But the stuff that, again, that we talk about on this channel, on the main channel, on the private Patreon community, man, shout out to the fucking private Patreon community. Listen, are you listening? I'm talking to you. If you have not joined up into the private Patreon community yet, and you actually are serious about seeking deeper into these types of topics, about seeking deeper into these types of subjects, then you are doing yourself a huge motherfucking disfavor. Not me. Go look at the guy in the mirror. You are doing him a huge motherfucking disfavor, because that is fraudulent behavior, my guy. Because if you're truly serious about this, this is the place for you. This is a place for you where we're unpacking exclusive videos that you ain't gonna find here on the second channel. You ain't gonna find it on the main channel. You ain't gonna find it anywhere on the internet other than over there, where we're unpacking this esoteric science of self-mastery, which is the true spiritual path that leads to self-realization. We got exclusive videos in there breaking down ancient texts, ancient pieces of wisdom, esoteric knowledge. We got esoteric libraries filled with books, digital, filled with books that you gotta go search the fucking world for. We got in-depth occult lectures, full guides, and best of all, if you tap into the Philosopher's Circle, aka the highest membership tier group within the private Patreon community, you get access to our private group chat where we host our bi-weekly mastermind live calls. This are 2 live calls each and every single week, each and every single month, my bad, bi-weekly. Come on, are you picking up what I'm putting down? Even I slipped up. Are you paying attention? We hop on a call with me as well as a community of like-minded men who are also on the same path of purifying themselves from within in order to unlock the mind, purify the body, and awaken the soul, the true science of self-mastery. If you want to be surrounded with people like that who are actually on a real spiritual path, not just making up shit to make their ego sound good, to stroke their ego, not just being all on the sidelines of sunshines and rainbows, the people that are actually making progress mentally, physically, and spiritually in order to discover their dharma by dissolving their karmas. And this is the place for you, my boy. This is the place for you. I assure you that, man. Stop being a fraud and join up. All the links posted in the pinned comment of this video for more information. Because within the pinned comment of this video, you can check out our other links to our other services, whether that be one-on-one consultation calls. If you just want to book a call with me, we can discuss things. If you are struggling in certain areas, you need some direction, you need some guidance, I'm there for you, my guy. I'm there for you, my guy. If you want to take it up to another level, we have application forms for my personalized coaching program. If you're trying to work with me personally, one-on-one, to help you disintegrate and dissolve those karmic ties, detox from the degenerate bullshit, that baggage on your back with the weight vest and all that shit. We're trying to snip that off in order to find your dharma, discover your dharma, discover your true path in life by building up your body, by unlocking the psyche and getting you closer and closer to the spirit, to the soul, through all the techniques, tips, and all that stuff that we talk about here, from celibacy, semen retention, spiritual practice, and all that good stuff. Then drop an application form, man. We'll see if you qualify, and we'll see if you're truly somebody who's on the same path of self-mastery as us. Along with that, there's a free community Discord server, weekly newsletters. Again, all that stuff posted in the pinned comment of this video. Make sure you go run it up, my guy. But like I was saying, the stuff that we talk about on this channel, on the main channel, with the people that are in my private Patreon community, within my personalized coaching program, all that shit. These are the tools, tips, and techniques on the path of self-mastery that will lead you to self-realization. Just practicing semen retention and celibacy is not going to make you self-realize. Just doing pranayama meditation isn't going to make you self-realize. But guess what that's doing? You are taking back the energy, attention, focus, prana, and your overall self back to the self. There's a great quote from the Bhagavad Gita that states what meditation is really all about. It's not just about productivity, this and that, but on a deeper spiritual level, on a metaphysical level, on an esoteric and occult level. Think about a turtle. A turtle got its arms out of its shells, it's got its legs out of its shell, it's got its head out of the shell. That's energy, attention, focus, all your internal resources that are being shot out externally due to the Maya, the matrix, the illusion, siphoning off your energy with distractions, with degeneracy, all that bullshit. The real spiritual path is about bringing back your energy, bringing back your attention, bringing back your focus, bringing back your prana to the self, into the shell. The shell is the self. All these tools, tips, and techniques, again, are guideposts to get back to your true self. Because within there, you have all the answers. It's already encoded in your motherfucking DNA. I don't know your dharma. Your dad don't know your dharma. Your mom don't know your dharma. Nobody does, but it's inscribed by God in your DNA. This is knowledge, aka gnosis, that can't be found anywhere else. That's what the true spiritual path is actually supposed to lead you to. But in order for you to do that, you need to peel off the layers of the programming, of the bullshit, of the nonsense. And that's not easy, and that's not fun, and that's not all sunshines and motherfucking rainbows. But what do you want? Do you want to live a life that is in alignment to that divine purpose, that is in alignment to the soul's true mission? Or do you want to live a life that's simply just a slave to the senses, just satisfying your lower nature, just satisfying the animal, the beast within you? The animal, the beast within you should be a servant, like a dog, to the higher self. Humans took wolves and domesticated them into dogs. And you're telling me you can't domesticate your ego into an ally within yourself? That's what spirituality is about. Not about pumping up the ego and making it seem like, oh man, this is all you got to do to become spiritual now. It's about taking that compulsive behavior that is taking you away from your true self, that is making you drift further and further into the darkness of degeneracy. You go into that darkness and you grab it and you pull it back out. You're not going to find it in just the light. You got to pull it out from the darkness. You got to go down that hole that you dug for yourself in order to come back up. So don't think you're just gonna, if you just sit there, meditate, manifest, and all your life goals are gonna come all together at once. Anybody who tells you that is selling you a whole pack of ass, a whole pack of bullshit. I'm telling you. That's nonsense. That's not what yourself was really brought here for. Just to glorify in the light. It's brought here to go into the depths of darkness in order to actually go through the hero's journey, the spiritual hero's journey, to awaken and individuate into its true, authentic form. So when you do that, you can resonate and connect with other people, because your dharma, your real duty, doesn't just mean, oh, I want to become an NBA player, oh, I just want to become an NFL player, oh, I just want to become the greatest musician because I want to. It is a way for you to become what we call a divine vessel for God. Your dharma makes you that, structures you into that form, where you become a conduit for the divine supreme consciousness to flow through you. And that energy flowing through you leads you to your dharma, and that dharma helps other people raise up as well. It is elevating the collective consciousness of humanity. You were not brought here just to satisfy yourself and just satisfy your soul, because the soul is interconnected. We all come from one source and we all will go back to one source. All is one and one is all. Non-duality. That's what the true spiritual path leads you to. That's what dharma makes you realize. That your role in this song, in this universe vocals, you have to play a specific note. And when that specific note is played, everything goes back into harmony. Yourself and the world around you. When things are off fucking beat, the song sounds like ass, that's when chaos arises. But in order for you to find what that role is, find what that note is, you need to actually deconstruct the programming. It's telling you, no, this is your role, but that's totally not the note that you're supposed to play. Only you know it. Nobody else does but you. This is what self-realization really means. And in order for you to realize that self, you must first master it. Mastery is not something that happens overnight. It's not something that's going to be all sunshines and rainbows. You got to go in the grind. If you ever played sports, you're trying to master your craft. I grew up playing basketball, man. I used to be in the gym for hours and hours and hours and hours working on my jump shot, working on my jump shot, working on my handles, working on my handles, working on my finishing, my jelly. If there's any hoopers out there that know, working on my jelly, working on the finesse. And that's not sunshines and rainbows. That's not, oh, me scoring 60 points in front of my coaches and all that stuff. That's in the trenches, that's in the mud, that's in the grind. That's why the true spiritual mystics, the monks, the sages are just like the physical athletes. They sacrifice their body, they sacrifice the glory, they sacrifice all the fun stuff. Fun, I'm quotation with fun, for something that is much bigger. Instead of going to clubbing out at the parties, they're staying in the gym, getting those reps in, because they know that that time that they raise up the trophy, the championship trophy, the Larry O'Brien in the NBA, the Super Bowl trophy, the Lombardi trophy in the NFL, that is gone, that goes far beyond any fucking clubbing, any type of partying that they could possibly do. Same thing happens with the spiritual, but on a whole different level, a much more heightened and amplified level. When you go into that state of spiritual ecstasy, that divine nectar that you taste when you are truly living on your dharmic path, knowing that you truly know that this is the path for you and what you were brought here to do, that will lead you to liberation within this lifetime, that taste goes far beyond anything that the material world, that your physical body, that your mental emotions could ever compare to. But guess what? You need to sacrifice that partying time, those clubbing times. Why is partying, clubbing evil? Nope. Is your lower senses evil? Nope. But in order for you to tap into the higher, you must first be able to take control of the compulsive nature that resides within your lower. This is a ascending scale. Nothing is better than the other, but you cannot remain stuck in the lower and expect to tap into your higher self. Let me say that again. You cannot expect to remain in your lower level desires, your lower states of consciousness, and actually tap into your higher self. It's oil and water. Yeah, shit don't mix. The material world, the physical body, the mind are all tools for something higher, for the spirit. But when it's using itself against you, instead of a tool for good, you become abused like a fool for your overall detriment, for your overall degeneracy, for your overall de-evolution. So let that marinate in your mind. This spiritual path is not supposed to be all sunshines and rainbows. This requires you to be like an athlete, an Olympic athlete, a high-level athlete, but on the spiritual plane of reality. Which one do you want more? Tasting that glory, that divine glory, when you hold up that Larry O'Brien trophy, that Lombardi trophy, or do you just want to be clubbing and partying because you got a couple $1 million that you signed on your check for being an NBA player, for being an NFL player? Do you want to just indulge in the lower senses because you've been gifted this specific incarnation as a human being that has a free will to ascend above, or just fall back into the depths of degeneracy? Or are you going to actually put your focus towards that dharma, towards actually dissolving the karmas that will lead you upwards and upwards and upwards on this ascending path towards self-realization? That's all up to you, man. I'm not here to tell you what you should do, what you shouldn't do. I'm just giving you all the game, the sauce, so you ain't out here looking like a motherfucking lame. You dig what I'm saying? It's all on you. No one can master the self but yourself. No one can realize the self but yourself. I'm just here again with the stuff that we're talking about on this channel, on the main channel, on the private Patreon community, with the people I'm working with one-on-one, here to give the tools, here to give the wake-up calls, here to give you the advice, the guidance that I wish that I got quicker, so I streamlined my journey towards self-realization much quicker. Instead of going through all the bullshit, here's the streamline, here's the right path, here's the narrow path. It's not going to be easy, but what do you want? A life of fulfillment that nourishes and feeds your soul, or a life that only succumbs to being a slave to the senses and satisfying your lower level desires? Because as you know, just satisfying your lower level desires, it never stops. It's an ongoing cycle. It's a bottomless pit. It is the hamster wheel of desires. No amount of cars, clothes, money, hoes will ever suffice to the spiritual ecstasy, because as a good saying goes from Paramahansa Yogananda, always fed, never satisfied. Never fed, always satisfied. If you constantly just keep feeding into your lower nature, it's a bottomless pit. It needs more, it needs more, it needs more, it needs more. But when you feed your higher nature, just feeding it, just being on that path is more than enough. All the other stuff will be given to you. I promise you that. Even the Bible says it, don't take it from me. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and everything else shall be given unto you. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, aka the self. The kingdom of God is within you, not outside of you. It's not some fucking place in the middle of nowhere. It's within you. And this path of self-mastery is purifying the temple of God. So again, the spark of God, the divine flame that is within each and every single human being is ignited. Everything else will be given unto you. I promise you that if you do that. But that ain't gonna happen in the sunshines and rainbows. Come on now, man. Come on. Are you truly about this spiritual path? Or are you just faking it? You just say that you want to be on it. You let me know, man. You let me know. Because it's been your boy out here in the field, in the flesh, dropping y'all that game so you guys can make these gains. And I'm out of here. Peace.